Describe a person who likes to look after the natural world. You should say who this person is, what he or she does, how he or she does it, how often he or she does it, and explain how you feel about this person. Nature has always been one of the greatest treasures on earth. Every small effort to protect it creates a meaningful difference. Although environmental problems seem overwhelming, dedicated individuals prove that positive change is still possible. One person who truly inspires me to care for the planet is my former biology teacher, Mrs. Ananya Sharma. She is not a celebrity or a famous environmental activist. Nevertheless, her actions speak far louder than words. She has devoted a significant part of her life to protecting nature. She believes that every individual has a responsibility towards the environment. Instead of waiting for others, she always leads by example. She teaches biology at a local high school. However, teaching is only one aspect of her contribution. Beyond the classroom, she actively works to preserve the natural world. She organizes tree planting campaigns throughout the year. She encourages students to reduce plastic waste. She promotes recycling in simple yet practical ways. She also spreads awareness about biodiversity. Moreover, she motivates people to conserve water. She regularly participates in community cleanup drives. She even rescues injured birds whenever possible. In addition, she creates small habitats for butterflies and bees. Her garden is filled with native plants. As a result, many birds frequently visit her home. What impresses me most is the way she carries out these activities. She never forces anyone to join. Instead, she patiently explains the long-term benefits. She believes education creates lasting change. She often gives practical demonstrations. For example, she teaches people how to separate household waste. She explains composting in a very simple manner. She also shows how kitchen waste can become natural fertilizer. Furthermore, she encourages everyone to plant indigenous species. According to her, local plants require less maintenance. They also support the surrounding ecosystem. She frequently shares useful environmental tips through social media. Consequently, her message reaches a wider audience. She has truly gone the extra mile to inspire others. Her enthusiasm is absolutely contagious. People naturally want to chip in after meeting her. She proves that real leadership comes from consistent action. She follows this routine almost every single day. Every morning, she waters her plants before going to work. She carries a reusable water bottle everywhere. She never accepts unnecessary plastic bags. Every weekend, she volunteers with local environmental groups. During school holidays, she organizes larger awareness campaigns. She also visits nearby villages. There, she educates children about wildlife conservation. Throughout the year, she keeps putting in the effort without expecting recognition. Even during busy periods, she never gives up. Her dedication is remarkably consistent. She truly practices what she preaches. Personally, I admire her immensely. She has completely changed my perspective. Before meeting her, I rarely thought about environmental issues. However, she helped me understand that small habits matter. Because of her influence, I started carrying reusable shopping bags. I also reduced my use of single-use plastics. Gradually, I became more conscious of my daily choices. Her guidance encouraged me to turn over a new leaf. Now, I pay much closer attention to my environmental footprint. I even participate in local plantation drives whenever possible. Another quality I admire is her humility. She never seeks attention or public praise. In fact, many people are unaware of her contributions. Nevertheless, she continues working quietly. Her motivation comes from genuine compassion. She sincerely believes future generations deserve a healthier planet. That selfless attitude makes her truly remarkable. She always reminds people that protecting nature is not a temporary trend. Instead, it is a lifelong responsibility. Those words have stayed with me ever since. Overall, I consider her one of the most inspiring people I have ever met. She has shown that meaningful change begins with simple daily actions. She reminds everyone that every cloud has a silver lining, even during environmental crises. Her determination encourages others to make a real difference. If more people adopted her mindset, the world would undoubtedly become cleaner, greener, and far more sustainable. Without any doubt, she is someone I deeply respect and genuinely aspire to emulate. 1-minute cue card cheat code. Memo topic. Describe a person who likes to look after the natural world. Who? Biology teacher. Environmental volunteer. Nature enthusiast. Community leader. What? Plants native trees. Cleans public parks. Rescues injured birds. Promotes recycling. Conserves water. Protects wildlife. How? Weekend plantation drives. Awareness campaigns. School workshops. Composting at home. Eco-friendly lifestyle. Social media awareness. How often? Every morning. Every weekend. Monthly cleanup drives. During holidays. Throughout the year. Special qualities. Compassionate. Dedicated. Self-disciplined. Humble. Responsible. Patient. Impact. Inspired me. Changed my habits. Increased environmental awareness. Encouraged sustainable living. Positive influence. Feelings. Deeply admire. Highly respect. Truly inspired. Feel motivated. Extremely proud. Why special? Leads by example. Protects biodiversity. Works selflessly. Inspires others. Creates lasting change. Lesson. Every small step counts. Protect nature. Live sustainably. Be environmentally conscious. Everyone can make a difference. Band 9 vocabulary. Passionate conservationist. Environmentally conscious. Sustainable lifestyle. Biodiversity conservation. Eco-friendly practices. Dedicated volunteer. Long-term commitment. Environmental stewardship. Carbon footprint. Wildlife preservation. Native species. Green initiatives. Ecological balance. Responsible citizen. Positive environmental impact. Band 9 idioms. Led by example. Walk the talk. Go the extra mile. Pitch in. Do my bit. Spread the word. Make a world of difference. Turn over a new leaf. Speaking flow, just look at these words and speak naturally. Nature is precious. Biology teacher loves greenery, plants native trees. Weekend plantation drives, cleans parks, rescues birds. School awareness campaigns, eco-friendly lifestyle. Recycling and composting inspires students, leads by example, walks the talk. Community volunteers every weekend, never gives up. Inspired me, changed my daily habits. Do my bit, protect the environment. Every small action counts. Positive environmental impact. Deep respect, memorable. Personality, lifelong inspiration. Part 3, follow-up questions. Question 1. Do you think parents should teach their children how to protect the environment? Answer. Absolutely, parents should teach children how to protect the environment from an early age. After all, parents are a child's first and most influential role models. Consequently, children naturally imitate environmentally responsible habits at home. It is widely believed that early education shapes lifelong attitudes and behaviors. Moreover, simple daily routines gradually become permanent habits rather than temporary actions. For example, children can learn recycling, water conservation, and reducing unnecessary electricity consumption. Equally important, they should understand the reasons behind these environmentally friendly practices. Otherwise, they may follow rules without appreciating their long-term significance. Furthermore, such awareness encourages children to influence friends and classmates positively. As a result, environmental responsibility gradually spreads beyond individual families. Admittedly, schools also provide valuable environmental education and practical activities. Nevertheless, parental guidance reinforces these lessons through consistent real-life practice. Consequently, children develop both environmental awareness and a genuine sense of personal responsibility. Ultimately, teaching environmental protection at home benefits individuals, society, and future generations alike. Question 2. What laws about the environment are effective in your country? Answer. In my country, several environmental laws have produced encouraging and measurable results. Most notably, restrictions on single-use plastics have significantly reduced plastic waste. Consequently, public awareness about sustainable consumption has increased considerably. It is widely recognized that stricter pollution regulations improve environmental quality. Therefore, industries face penalties for exceeding legally permitted emission limits. Furthermore, compulsory environmental clearances discourage irresponsible large-scale development projects. For instance, factories must install pollution control equipment before commencing operations. Similarly, afforestation programs require developers to compensate for deforestation. As a result, environmental damage is partially offset through large-scale tree plantation. Admittedly, enforcement remains inconsistent in certain regions and smaller towns. Nevertheless, stronger monitoring has gradually improved compliance with environmental regulations. Moreover, public participation strengthens the effectiveness of these legal measures. Consequently, citizens become more conscious of their environmental responsibilities. Ultimately, effective laws combined with strict enforcement create lasting environmental protection. Question 3. Which do you think people prefer, rewards or punishment, when it comes to government intervention in environmental protection? Answer. I believe most people naturally prefer rewards over punishment. After all, positive incentives feel encouraging rather than restrictive. Consequently, individuals become more willing to adopt environmentally friendly behaviors. For instance, tax rebates can motivate households to install solar panels. Similarly, financial incentives encourage people to purchase electric vehicles. It is widely accepted that recognition strengthens long-term behavioral change. Nevertheless, rewards alone may not discourage serious environmental violations. Therefore, strict penalties remain essential for deliberate polluters. For example, substantial fines can deter illegal dumping and excessive industrial emissions. Paradoxically, balanced policies often achieve better outcomes than extreme approaches. Rewards inspire responsible citizens to do even better. Meanwhile, punishments discourage those who intentionally ignore environmental regulations. Consequently, governments create both motivation and accountability simultaneously. Ultimately, combining rewards with appropriate penalties is the most effective environmental strategy. Question 4. Is it easy for children in cities to get close to the natural world? Answer. Generally speaking, it is becoming increasingly difficult for urban children to connect with nature. Rapid urbanization has replaced many natural spaces with concrete developments. Consequently, everyday interaction with wildlife and greenery has become increasingly limited. It is widely acknowledged that direct exposure fosters environmental appreciation. However, many city children spend more time indoors using digital devices. As a result, they may develop weaker connections with the natural environment. For instance, some children rarely visit forests, rivers, or open countryside. Nevertheless, well-maintained parks provide valuable opportunities to experience nature. Similarly, schools often organize educational trips to botanical gardens and nature reserves. Consequently, children can still gain practical environmental knowledge through such experiences. Admittedly, these opportunities are less frequent than in rural areas. Therefore, parents and schools should encourage regular outdoor activities whenever possible. Ultimately, meaningful contact with nature requires deliberate effort in modern cities. In the long run, these experiences nurture environmentally responsible and health-conscious adults. Question 5. What can people do to protect the natural world? Answer. I believe everyone can contribute to protecting the natural world through everyday actions. It is widely accepted that small individual efforts collectively create significant environmental improvements. Consequently, responsible habits can reduce long-term ecological damage. For instance, people should minimize plastic consumption and recycle household waste consistently. Likewise, conserving electricity and water reduces unnecessary pressure on natural resources. Furthermore, using public transport lowers carbon emissions and improves air quality. Equally important, people should support environmentally responsible businesses and sustainable products. As a result, companies become more motivated to adopt greener practices. Moreover, planting trees helps restore ecosystems and enhances biodiversity. Admittedly, individual actions alone cannot solve every environmental challenge. Nevertheless, collective participation strengthens government policies and conservation initiatives. Consequently, environmental protection becomes a shared social responsibility. Ultimately, lasting change depends on consistent efforts from individuals, communities, and governments alike. In the long run, these actions preserve nature for future generations. Question 6. Is it important to teach students environmental protection at school? Answer. Absolutely, environmental protection should be an essential part of every school's curriculum. It is widely recognized that education shapes lifelong values and responsible behavior. Consequently, students become more environmentally conscious from an early age. Moreover, schools provide structured opportunities to develop sustainable daily habits. For instance, students can participate in recycling projects and tree planting campaigns. Likewise, practical activities make environmental concepts easier to understand and remember. As a result, learning becomes both meaningful and action-oriented. Furthermore, environmentally aware students often influence their families and local communities. Therefore, the positive impact extends well beyond the classroom. Admittedly, academic subjects already place considerable pressure on students. Nevertheless, environmental education can be integrated into existing science and social studies lessons. Consequently, students gain essential knowledge without increasing their academic burden. Ultimately, educating young people is one of the most effective investments in environmental sustainability. In the long run, informed students become responsible citizens who actively protect the natural world.